Welcome back to Make It Mental, everybody. I'm making a custom battery pack for one of my 1/32 scale RC cars, and I figure I'd share this process with you. This happens to be a 2-cell, and I typed in all of these numbers on Google, and I was able to find out that this is a 530 milliamp hour battery pack. So I've wired two of them together on one side, one positive and one negative, one from each battery, right? So in theory we have on this wire and this wire 7.4 volts, right? And I just use a little bit of hot glue. You can use electrical tape if you want to, or you can just buy some batteries. I don't know. I just had these laying around because I had bought a couple of Bluetooth speakers and I didn't like the sound performance of them, so I have these, and I like that they're kind of heavy because I got this metal casing on them, and I found that being heavy in these small cars actually works to their benefit because the tires spin a lot, right? Even with some sort of rubber, I forget the name of the rubber that they use. So there's a look at that. Now the very first thing I want to do, I've already soldered that. Got my soldering iron preheated. It's a gas operated one. I like that one because it heats up very fast. Now I want to combine a JST connector and a balance lead. In this particular case, I know the balance lead happens to be the one with this metal end on it because it comes from a battery just like this one right here, except I had this one of these batteries go bad. So as you can see right there, there is the balance lead. They are normally color coded in blue for those of you who do not know. So if you're making a custom made battery pack, just kind of follow along. I think you'll get the idea of how to solve this problem and make your own for a custom application such as this one. So now that I have these two wires soldered up, I'm going to go ahead and trim this one down with the metal end on it. My balance lead would normally be colored in blue from my experience. If you're dealing with a 3-cell, 4-cell, 6-cell, 8-cell, forget about it. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a 2-cell. In my experience, 2-cells have a blue lead, but in this particular case it's a red. So I'm going to join this one first to my very first positive and negative connection, and then we're going to heat shrink it and call that one done. Now we have our balance lead attached to where the positive and the negative were joined together. So if you're working on a 2-cell, it should be the middle wire or a blue wire. Again, when an old battery goes to shits, I cut the wires. I save all my connectors. I got a bunch of connectors there for different things. I save them because I never know when they might come in handy. And the next step is I want to join the positive to this one, and then negative to that one, negative to that one. So I want to join negative, negative, positive, positive, right? And join them to this one. And that will give me my power out to my ESC. So what you're looking at here, I just made a mechanical connection before soldering to the balance lead. One negative, negative, positive, positive. Now I'm going to solder them. And then once they're soldered, I'm going to solder them to this positive and this negative right here and trim as necessary. Now we're ready to solder one positive lead onto our JST connector / balance lead connector. So I just have something heavy to kind of hold the wire steady as I solder that in place. And I'll do the same with the black wire. As you can see, I already have heat shrink already attached. And then if you're doing any of these, in all actuality, you should only do one at a time, meaning one positive at a time and then one negative at a time. As you saw me, I had all of these wires exposed. For you guys who have never done this before, do one wire at a time, right? Do one wire at a time, positive sides first, then go through and do your negative sides, whatever the case may be, do your balance, whatever the case. Just do one at a time. I highly recommend that. So there is a look at our completed battery pack with a balance lead, which is the white, our power lead, which is now 7.4 volts, something like that. And if you need something more to look at, I did take the time to draw out a brief diagram how that works. These over here would represent your JST connector, which is that guy right there. It could be any kind of connector you like to use. I just happen to have some of these extras. But this balance lead is very important because you want to make sure your cells, this would be one cell, the other one would be a second cell, so this is a 2S for those who do not know. Very important for them to be charged equally, right? I balance charge all of my batteries. I never ever fast charge my batteries. I'm never in that kind of hurry, I promise you. It's just, I think it's better, personally, balance charge them from day one. These batteries here are dated from 2013. What year is it? 2021. Granted, I don't use them all the time, and they're fairly old already when I got them, but they still get used quite a bit, and I balance charge them every single time. I don't use fast chargers, right? And if you can avoid it, if you can pre-plan for the next day, don't use a fast charger. But there you go. Now you can wrap it in electrical tape or what have you. Now you have a custom battery pack for a custom application.